Chapter 1. Thanksgiving Nightmare. The smell of roasted turkey filled Derek's parents' house in Alpharetta, Georgia, but I couldn't eat. My stomach was in knots, and it wasn't just because I was 8 months pregnant. Something was wrong with my husband. Derek sat across from me at the long dining table, barely making eye contact. His mother, Patricia, held court at one end, talking about the new Mercedes dealership expansion. His father, Robert Sr., nodded along, proud of the family business he'd built from nothing 40 years ago. Derek's younger brother, Marcus, and his wife, Jasmine, sat to my left, and various aunts, uncles, and cousins filled the other seats. It was Thanksgiving 2024, and I should have been grateful. We had a baby girl coming in 4 weeks. Derek had a good job as sales manager at his father's dealership. We just moved into a nice rental house in Decatur. On paper, everything looked perfect. But my husband had become a stranger. "Michelle, honey, you're not eating," Patricia said, her voice dripping with that southern politeness that always felt like criticism. "You need to keep your strength up for the baby." "I'm okay, thank you," I said quietly. "Just a little tired." "Well, pregnancy is exhausting," she continued, exchanging a look with Jasmine that I couldn't quite read. "Especially at your age. 28 is still young, but it's not like being 22. I bit my tongue. Patricia had never quite warmed to me in the 3 years Derek and I had been married. I wasn't from their world. My mama raised me and my 2 brothers in a small apartment in southwest Atlanta after my father left. I'd worked my way through Georgia State University, got my degree in social work, and now worked at a non-profit helping at-risk youth. To Patricia, I wasn't good enough for her eldest son. Not polished enough. Not ambitious enough. Not wealthy enough. "Michelle works very hard," my friend Tasha had told me once. "Don't let that woman make you feel small." But sitting at that table, 8 months pregnant and feeling my husband's coldness like a physical thing, I felt very small indeed. "Derek," Robert Sr. said, "tell everyone about the numbers from last quarter. Best sales month we've had in 5 years. Derek straightened up, his face transforming into the confident, charming mask he wore for his family. "Revenue's up 32% year over year. We moved 87 units in October alone. The new marketing strategy is really paying off." Everyone murmured approval. Derek was the golden boy, the one who'd taken his father's business and modernized it, brought it into the social media age. Marcus was the operations guy, handling the boring back-end stuff, but Derek was the face of Morrison Family Automotive. "And it's all thanks to the foundation Robert and I built," Patricia added, raising her wine glass. "Family businesses don't succeed without family values." I felt the baby kick hard against my ribs, as if she was protesting the tension in my body. I put my hand on my belly, trying to calm both of us. "Derek," I said quietly, leaning toward him, "can we talk for a minute? In private?" His jaw tightened. "We're eating, Michelle. It's important. Whatever it is can wait." "It's about the bank account," I said, lowering my voice even more. "I checked it yesterday and—" Derek's hand slammed down on the table, rattling plates and glasses. The entire room went silent. "Are you seriously doing this right now?" he hissed. "In front of my family? I just need to understand why." "Why what, Michelle? Why I don't report every single dollar I spend to you?" His voice was rising, harsh and ugly. "Why I don't ask permission to breathe?" I felt my face grow hot. Everyone was staring. "Derek, that's not fair. We're supposed to be saving for the baby, and there's $15,000 missing." "Oh my God!" he exploded, standing up so fast his chair scraped against the hardwood floor. "This is exactly what I'm talking about. You're paranoid. You're controlling. I'm out there working my ass off to provide for this family, and you're interrogating me about money." "I'm not interrogating you," I said, my voice shaking. "I'm your wife. I'm asking a question. You're embarrassing me." He pointed at me, his face twisted with anger I'd never seen before. "In front of my parents, in front of everyone, you're making me look like some kind of criminal." Derek, calm down, Marcus said, half standing. Man, it's Thanksgiving. Stay out of this, Derek snapped at his brother. Then he turned back to me. Get up. We're leaving. Derek. I said get up. My hands were trembling. The baby was kicking frantically now, responding to my racing heart. I looked around the table for support, for someone to tell Derek he was overreacting, that he was being cruel. Patricia dabbed at her mouth with a napkin, her expression cold. Michelle, perhaps you should have chosen a more appropriate time to discuss private matters. Robert Sr. said nothing, just looked disappointed. Jasmine wouldn't meet my eyes. I pushed back from the table, struggling to stand with my pregnant belly and shaking legs. Derek grabbed my arm, not gently, and pulled me toward the front door. Son, Robert Sr. finally spoke up. Don't be rash. I'm not being rash, Dad. I'm removing myself from a toxic situation. We got to his BMW in the driveway. The November night was cold, much colder than earlier. I hadn't brought my jacket because I'd thought we'd be inside all evening. Derek unlocked the car and got in the driver's side. I opened the passenger door and started to get in. No, he said. Froze. What? You're not riding with me. I can't even look at you right now. Derek, I'm pregnant. It's cold. We live 20 minutes away. Should have thought about that before you humiliated me in there. He started the engine. You can't be serious. My voice cracked. Derek, please. I'm sorry if I upset you, but get away from my car, Michelle. Where am I supposed to go? I don't care. Call an Uber. Call your mama. Call one of your friends. Just get away from me. Tears were streaming down my face now. Derek, I'm 8 months pregnant with your daughter. For just a second, something flickered in his eyes. Guilt, maybe, or recognition of how insane this was. But then his face hardened again. You should have thought about our daughter before you started acting crazy. He reached over and pulled the passenger door closed. And then he drove away. I stood in his parents' driveway in the cold November night, 8 months pregnant, watching my husband's taillights disappear down the tree-lined street. Behind me, I could hear the murmur of voices from inside the house. The front door opened and I turned, hoping someone was coming to help. It was Patricia. She stood in the doorway, backlit by the warm glow of her perfect home, and looked at me with something close to contempt. You really shouldn't have caused a scene, Michelle, she said. Derek works very hard. He doesn't need this kind of stress. Then she closed the door. I stood there for a moment, stunned into immobility. Then the baby kicked again, hard, and something inside me shifted from shock to survival mode. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and called the only person I knew would come without judgment. Tasha answered on the first ring. Girl, how's Thanksgiving with the in-laws from hell? Tasha, I said, and my voice broke completely. I need you to come get me. 20 minutes later, Tasha's Honda Accord pulled up to the curb. She jumped out, took one look at my tear-stained face, and wrapped me in a fierce hug. What the hell happened? She demanded. I couldn't speak. I just sobbed into her shoulder while she rubbed my back and made soothing sounds. Come on, honey, she said finally. Let's get you somewhere warm. She helped me into her car, not easy with a belly this big, and cranked up the heat. As we pulled away from the Alpharetta McMansion, I looked back at the house one more time. Through the windows, I could see Derek's family had returned to their Thanksgiving dinner. Life going on as normal. Like I didn't exist. Like I didn't matter. Michelle, Tasha said as we drove toward her apartment in Midtown. You need to tell me what happened. All of it. So I did. I told her about Derek's distance over the past few months. About the money missing from our account. About the explosion at dinner and him leaving me stranded. Tasha's hands gripped the steering wheel so tight her knuckles went white. I'm going to kill him. I'm literally going to kill him. It doesn't make sense, I said, wiping my face. We were happy, Tasha. Or I thought we were. When we first got married, he was so loving, so attentive. And when I got pregnant, he was excited. He talked about baby names and picked out paint colors for the nursery. What changed? Men change when they're hiding something, Tasha said grimly. She'd been through her own divorce 2 years ago, so she knew. The question is, what's he hiding? We got to her apartment, and she made me chamomile tea and wrapped me in a blanket on her couch. Her place was small but cozy, 1 bedroom barely furnished, but it felt safer than anywhere else right now. My phone buzzed. My heart leaped. Maybe Derek had come to his senses, was calling to apologize. But it wasn't Derek. It was Marcus. I'm sorry about tonight. Derek was out of line. Are you okay? I stared at the text. Marcus had always been kinder than the rest of Derek's family, less caught up in their wealthy bubble. I'm safe. With a friend. But if you need anything, let me know. Thanks, Marcus. But Derek didn't call. Didn't text. Nothing. I tried calling him 3 times that night. Each call went straight to voicemail. He blocked you, Tasha said flatly. That bastard actually blocked his pregnant wife. I lay on Tasha's couch, my hand on my belly, feeling my daughter moving inside me. In 4 weeks she'd be here. And her father had just abandoned us on the side of the road. What am I going to do? I whispered. First, you're going to sleep, Tasha said. Tomorrow, we're going to figure out what your husband is really up to. Because Michelle, men don't act like this for no reason. He's hiding something big. I closed my eyes, exhausted beyond measure. But even as I drifted off, one thought kept circling in my mind. What truth was Derek so desperate to hide that he'd throw away his family? Chapter 2. Following the trail. I woke up on Tasha's couch with a crick in my neck and my baby girl doing what felt like gymnastics in my womb. Gray morning light filtered through the blinds. For a moment I forgot where I was and why. Then it all came flooding back. Derek's face, twisted with anger. His car driving away. His mother closing the door on me. My phone showed 6:47 a.m. and no new messages. My husband still hadn't called. Tasha emerged from her bedroom in pajamas, her natural hair wrapped in a silk bonnet. You're awake. How'd you sleep? Terribly. I struggled to sit up, my pregnant body making everything difficult. Tasha, I need to go home. I need to talk to Derek, figure out what's happening. Girl, no. Tasha sat down next to me. What you need is information. You go home right now, he's just going to gaslight you, tell you you're crazy, that you're the problem. We need to know what we're dealing with first. What are you suggesting? She gave me a look. I'm suggesting we do some investigating. You said money's missing from your account. $15,000 gone in the last 2 months. Small withdrawals, 500 here, 1,000 there. I only noticed because I was checking our savings for baby expenses. Okay. So where's the money going? Gambling. Drugs. Another woman. The last one made my stomach drop. Derek wouldn't. Honey, every woman whose man cheated says that. Right up until she finds the receipts. Tasha's voice was gentle but firm. Look, I'm not saying he definitely is. But something's up. And you deserve to know what. I thought about the past few months. Derek coming home late. Being secretive with his phone. The way he'd pull away when I tried to be intimate. The distance in his eyes even when we were in the same room. How do we find out? I asked quietly. Tasha pulled out her laptop. We start with the basics. Bank records, credit cards, phone bills. You have access to any of that. We have a joint checking account. But I don't have the password for our savings. And his credit card is in his name only. What about phone records? We're on a family plan through his dad's business. I don't have access. Tasha frowned. Okay, so we work with what we've got. Can you log into your joint checking? I pulled out my phone and opened our bank app. It took a few tries. I was so tired my fingers kept hitting the wrong numbers, but I finally got in. Tasha scooted closer, looking at the screen over my shoulder. Okay, let's look at where money's been going. We scrolled through 2 months of transactions. Most were normal. Groceries, utilities, gas, my medical copays. But there were others that made me pause. What's HCP management? Tasha asked, pointing at a $1,200 charge from 3 weeks ago. I have no idea. And here, Lily's boutique. $800. Did you buy something there? I've never heard of that store. We kept scrolling. More charges at places I didn't recognize. Restaurants I'd never been to. A hotel in Buckhead, the Ritz-Carlton, for $450. Michelle, Tasha said carefully. When was this hotel charge? Check the date. October 15th. That was a Saturday. Derek said he was going to a dealership conference in Savannah that weekend. The Ritz-Carlton in Buckhead isn't in Savannah, honey. My hands started shaking again. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe they charged the wrong card. Michelle, stop. Tasha took the phone from me gently. Look at these restaurant charges. Bacchanalia, Staple House, Marcel. These are expensive date spots. Romantic places. Did y'all go to any of these? No. My voice was barely a whisper. We haven't been out to dinner in months. I've been too tired from the pregnancy. And Derek said we needed to save money. But he wasn't saving money. He was spending it. On someone. The baby kicked. And I felt a wave of nausea that had nothing to do with morning sickness. I need proof. Real proof. Not just charges that could be explained away. Tasha thought for a moment. Do you know Derek's computer password? For his laptop at home? No. He changed it a few months ago. Said it was for work security. Of course he did. Tasha stood up and paced. Okay. What about his car? Does he leave anything in there? I don't know. I haven't been in his car in weeks. Where is it now? Probably at our house. He must have come home last night. Tasha grabbed her keys. Then let's go check. He's probably at work by now. The dealership opens at 9 on Fridays, right? Check my phone. It was 7:15 a.m. Yeah. He's usually there by 8:30. Perfect. Let's go see what your loving husband has been hiding. We drove to the house I shared with Derek in Decatur, a modest 3-bedroom rental in a quiet neighborhood. It wasn't fancy like his parents' place, but it had a yard and good schools nearby. I'd imagined our daughter taking her first steps on that lawn. Now I wondered if we'd even be living here in a month. Derek's BMW was in the driveway. My stomach clenched. What if he's home? I whispered. Then we'll deal with it, Tasha said. But his car being here probably just means he got a ride to work. Come on. We got out and I used my key to unlock the front door. The house was quiet and still. No sign of Derek. Check his car first, Tasha said. I'll search the house. I went back outside to the BMW. It was locked, but I had a spare key on my keychain. My hands shook as I unlocked it and opened the driver's side door. The car smelled like his cologne and something floral I didn't recognize. Not my perfume. I checked the glove compartment first. Registration, insurance papers, owner's manual. Nothing unusual. Then I checked the center console. Receipts, lots of them. I pulled them out and started sorting through. Dinner at Bones Steakhouse. $347. For 2 people. Roses from a florist. $120. Victoria's Secret. $215. My vision blurred with tears. Kept digging. At the bottom of the console was a folded piece of paper. A reservation confirmation from the Ritz-Carlton for October 15th. Deluxe King Room, non-smoking guest. Derek Morrison guests too. 2 guests. I sat in Derek's car, holding the proof of his betrayal, and felt something inside me break and reform into something harder. Tasha appeared at the car door. Michelle, you need to come inside. Right now. The urgency in her voice got me moving. I followed her into the house and up the stairs to our bedroom. The bedroom Derek and I had shared for 3 years. Tasha was standing by the dresser, holding Derek's laptop. It was open. He left it unlocked, she said. Must have been in a hurry this morning. On the screen was an email exchange. I stepped closer and started reading. From Derek Morrison to Amber Chen subject. This weekend. Baby, I can't wait to see you. This thing with Michelle is getting harder to manage, but we're almost through it. Once the baby comes and things settle down, I'll file for divorce and we can finally be together for real. I know this has been hard on you too. Just a few more months. Love you. E. The room tilted. I grabbed the dresser to steady myself. Keep reading, Tasha said grimly. I scrolled up to Amber's response. Derek, I'm trying to be patient, but I'm starting to show. My family is asking questions. You promised me we'd be together before our baby was born, and I'm already 6 months pregnant. How much longer do I have to be your secret? I love you, but this is killing me. 6 months pregnant. Derek was having a baby with someone else. I scrolled further up. Months of emails between my husband and this woman named Amber. Plans to meet up. Declarations of love. Complaints about me, how I was needy and demanding, how the pregnancy had made me difficult. Pictures of them together. Selfies. Amber was young, maybe 25, pretty, Asian with long black hair. In one photo, she was wearing lingerie. Probably the Victoria's Secret purchase. In another, she and Derek were at the beach. His arm around her. Both of them smiling like they didn't have a care in the world. While I was home, pregnant with his child, alone. Michelle, there's more, Tasha said softly. She clicked to another folder. Financial documents. Bank statements for an account I didn't know existed. Deposits and withdrawals. A lease agreement for an apartment in Virginia Highland. A trendy Atlanta neighborhood. Tenant. Derek Morrison and Amber Chen. Move-in date. January 1st, 2025. 4 weeks from now. Right around when our baby would be born. He was planning to leave you, Tasha said. Right after you had his baby. He was going to set up his new life with his pregnant girlfriend. And leave you to figure it out on your own. I couldn't breathe. The room was spinning. I sat down hard on the bed. The bed where Derek and I had slept, made love, talked about our future. All of it a lie. I'm going to be sick, I whispered. Tasha helped me to the bathroom, where I dry heaved into the toilet while she held my hair back. The baby kicked hard like she was angry too. When I was done, I sat on the bathroom floor, sweating and shaking. What do I do? Yes. Tasha, what do I do? She sat down next to me. You fight back. You don't let him get away with this. How? He's already gone. He already chose her. That's not what I mean. Tasha's face was fierce. I mean, you protect yourself. Financially, legally, all of it. You document everything on that laptop. You talk to a divorce lawyer. You make sure he doesn't leave you with nothing after what he's done. I thought about Derek's face last night. How angry he'd been when I'd questioned the missing money. He'd been angry because I'd been getting close to the truth. The humiliation at his parents' house. Leaving me in the cold. Blocking my calls. It had all been calculated. He was creating distance, making me look unstable. Setting up a narrative where I was the problem so when he left, he'd be the victim. There's something else, I said slowly. Something his mother said about the dealership. Tasha looked at me. What about it? 3 years ago, right after Derek and I got married, his dad asked me to sign some paperwork. He said Derek had credit issues from some bad investments, and they needed to restructure the business for tax purposes. He said it was just a formality, that I'd be listed as a partial owner for legal reasons, but it wouldn't mean anything. Michelle, do you have copies of what you signed? I think so. In our filing cabinet downstairs. We went down to Derek's home office. In the filing cabinet, under business documents, I found the folder from 3 years ago. Tasha pulled out the papers and started reading. Her eyes got wider and wider. Michelle, she said slowly, do you understand what this says? Not really. It was all legal jargon. It says you own 60% of Morrison Family Automotive. Derek owns 25%, and his dad owns 15%. The words didn't make sense. That can't be right. It's right here, in black and white. You're the majority stakeholder. Tasha looked at me with something like awe. Girl, you don't just have leverage. You have nuclear weapons. My phone rang. Derek's name flashed on the screen. He'd unblocked me. I answered, putting it on speaker so Tasha could hear. Michelle. His voice was tense. We need to talk. I'm listening. Look, I overreacted last night. I was stressed and I took it out on you. That wasn't fair. Come home so we can talk about this like adults. The manipulation in his voice was so clear now. Tasha made a face of disgust. I am home, Derek. At our house. Silence. Then. What are you doing there? Looking at your laptop. Reading your emails with Amber. Looking at pictures of your girlfriend. Learning about the apartment you leased together. Finding out you're having another baby with another woman while I'm 8 months pregnant with our daughter. The silence stretched so long I thought he'd hung up. Michelle, he finally said. 6 months, I interrupted. She's 6 months pregnant. Which means you got her pregnant in June. While I was pregnant. While we were supposed to be preparing for our family. It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. You were planning to leave me right after I had our baby. Set me up to be the unstable, paranoid wife so you'd look reasonable when you filed for divorce. But here's what you didn't count on, Derek. My voice was shaking but strong. I own your family's business. 60% of Morrison Family Automotive is mine. Your daddy signed it over 3 years ago when you had bad credit, remember? Another long silence. When Derek spoke again, his voice was different. Panic. Michelle, don't do anything stupid. That business supports my entire family. The family that watched you humiliate me. The family that closed the door on me. That family. Michelle, please. We can work this out. I made mistakes, okay? Admit it. But we can fix this. For the baby. Which baby, Derek? Mine or Amber's? Don't do this. Don't punish my family for my mistakes. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm protecting myself and my daughter. You made your choice. Now I'm making mine. Took a breath. I'll be in touch through my lawyer. Don't call me again. Hung up. Tasha was grinning. That's my girl. But I wasn't grinning. I was terrified. I just declared war on my husband and his entire family. And I was about to be a single mother with no job. I'd had to take unpaid leave for the high-risk pregnancy, and a baby coming in weeks. But I also had something they didn't expect, the truth and the legal high ground. What happens now? Asked Tasha. She squeezed my hand. Now, we get you the best divorce lawyer in Atlanta. And then we make Derek Morrison and his family pay for what they've done. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Michelle, this is Amber. We need to talk. Derek has been lying to both of us. I showed Tasha the text. Well, she said. Looks like you're not the only one who discovered the truth. Chapter 3. Allies and Enemies. I stared at Amber's text for a full minute before responding. How did you get my number? 3 dots appeared immediately then. Derek's phone. He left it at my apartment. Michelle, I didn't know you were pregnant. He told me you two were separated, that the divorce was almost final. I felt Tasha reading over my shoulder. She didn't know, I said, not sure if I was more angry or sad. Or she's lying, Tasha said. Don't trust her yet. Can we meet? I'm at Java Grounds on Ponce. Please. I need to know what's real. Tasha shook her head firmly. No way. You're not meeting your husband's pregnant mistress alone. It could be a setup. What kind of setup? She's 6 months pregnant, Tasha. She's probably just as scared and confused as I am. Or she's playing you to find out what you know. Let me come with you. Thought about it. Meeting Amber felt insane, but the woman was carrying my husband's child. We were going to be connected forever through our kids. Half-siblings. And if Derek had lied to both of us. I'll be there in 30 minutes. I'm bringing a friend. Thank you. Java Grounds was a hipster coffee shop in Virginia Highland, All exposed brick and mismatched furniture. Amber was sitting at a corner table, wearing an oversized sweater that couldn't quite hide her baby bump. She was even prettier in person than in the photos. Delicate features, perfect skin, long hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looked young and terrified. When she saw me, her eyes went wide. My own pregnant belly announced itself before I could. "Oh my God," she whispered as we approached. You're really pregnant." 8 months, I said, sitting down across from her. Tasha sat beside me, protective and alert. "You're Amber." "I'm so sorry," she said immediately, tears streaming down her face. "I swear I didn't know. Derek told me you two split up last year." He said the divorce was complicated because of his family's business, but that it was almost done. He said you'd moved on, that you were dating someone else. "I've been living with him," I interrupted. "In our house, in our bed, planning our baby's nursery. Up until last night when he abandoned me at his parents' house." Amber looked like she might throw up. "He's been living with you this whole time?" "Every night. Well, except for the nights he said he was working late or traveling for business. Like October 15th, when he was supposedly at a conference in Savannah but was actually at the Ritz-Carlton with you." She covered her face with her hands. "This is insane." Thought. "We were building a life together. He showed me the apartment in January. We picked out furniture. He talked about baby names. He said." She couldn't finish. "Despite everything, despite the fact that this woman had been sleeping with my husband for over a year, I felt a flicker of sympathy. We'd both been played." "When did you meet him?" Tasha asked, her voice hard. Amber wiped her eyes. "I started working at the dealership in March 2023. I'm the social media coordinator. Derek was my supervisor. At first it was just professional, but then we started having coffee together talking about our lives. He told me he was in a loveless marriage, that you only cared about your charity work, that you'd grown apart." She looked at me. I really thought he was telling the truth. "Did his family know about you?" Yes. "No. He said they wouldn't approve because I work for the company. He said we had to keep it secret until after the divorce." "Convenient," Tasha muttered. "When did you get pregnant?" Yes. "June. It was an accident, my birth control failed. When I told Derek, he was quiet for a while. Then he said it was meant to be, that this was the push he needed to finally leave you. He promised me that by the time our baby was born, we'd be together officially. A real family." "He told me the same thing when I got pregnant," I said. "That it was meant to be. That we'd be a real family." We sat there, 2 pregnant women, both betrayed by the same man. "He's been taking money from our joint account," I said. $15,000 in 2 months. "Was he giving it to you?" "Some of it, maybe. He paid the deposit on the apartment. First month, last month's security deposit. And he's been helping with my medical bills. My insurance through work is terrible." He paused. "But $15,000 seems like a lot. Where else would it be going?" "That was a good question, Amber," I said carefully. "I need to know everything. How often did you see him? Where did you go? Did he ever mention any other complications?" "We saw each other 3 or 4 times a week. Sometimes at his lunch break, sometimes in the evenings when he told you he was working late. Weekends when he said he had business trips." She swallowed hard. "We went to nice restaurants, hotels. He was always generous. He bought me clothes, jewelry. He said he wanted to treat me right. With my money," I thought bitterly. "Our savings for our daughter's future." "Did he ever seem worried about money?" Tasha asked. "Not really. I mean, he'd mentioned that his dad was pressuring him about the dealership's performance, but he always seemed confident they'd work it out." My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus, Derek's brother. "Michelle, can we talk? Not about Derek. About the business. It's important." I showed it to Tasha and Amber. "What does he want?" Amber asked. "I don't know. But Marcus has always been decent." I typed back. I'm at Java Grounds on Ponce. Can you come here? Be there in 15. We waited in tense silence, drinking coffee and tea. Amber kept touching her belly, and I recognized the gesture, trying to comfort the baby or maybe yourself. What are you going to do? She asked me quietly. About Derek, I mean. Divorce him. Make sure my daughter is taken care of. Beyond that, I shrugged. Figure out how to be a single mom, I guess. I don't have anyone, Amber said. My parents are in California. They're not supportive. They wanted me to have an abortion when I told them I was pregnant. Derek was all I had. Now you have a baby, I said. That changes everything. Marcus arrived exactly 15 minutes later, looking stressed. He was 32 years younger than Derek, with the same Morrison height and broad shoulders but a softer face. He'd always been the peacemaker in the family. He stopped short when he saw all three of us. Michelle. Amber. He looked between us. You two have met. Derek's been a busy man, Tasha said dryly. Marcus sat down and ran his hands through his hair. Look, I don't have time for subtlety. Dad called an emergency board meeting for Monday. He knows about Amber now. Derek confessed this morning after you hung up on him, Michelle. Mom's losing her mind. They're talking about firing both Derek and Amber, restructuring the business, possibly selling it. They can't sell it, I said. I own 60%. I know. That's why I'm here. Marcus looked at me seriously. Michelle, I need to be honest with you. That paperwork you signed 3 years ago. Dad did that specifically to protect the business if Derek screwed up. Derek's had issues before. Gambling problems, bad investments, questionable decisions. Dad didn't trust him with full ownership. But he also didn't want to humiliate his son publicly. So he made you the majority owner with the understanding that you'd never actually exercise that power. Let me guess, Tasha said. They figured Michelle would just do whatever Derek wanted. Pretty much, Marcus admitted. You've always been so sweet, so accommodating. They thought you'd be easy to control. They thought wrong, I said. Marcus actually smiled. Yeah, I'm starting to see that. Look, Michelle, I know my family hasn't treated you well. Mom especially has been awful, and I should have stood up to her more. But that dealership employs 43 people. Good people with families who depend on those jobs. If the business falls apart because of Derek's mess, a lot of innocent people get hurt. What are you asking me to do? Come to the board meeting Monday. Exercise your ownership rights. Help me restructure the management so Derek can't do any more damage, but we can keep the business running. And what do I get out of this? Yes. Besides the satisfaction of cleaning up after my cheating husband? Marcus met my eyes. Security for your daughter. A guaranteed income stream. Health insurance. And the knowledge that you're protecting other families even though yours fell apart. It was a good pitch. Marcus had always been smarter than he let on. I need to think about it, I said. Fair enough. But Michelle, whatever you decide, I want you to know. I'm on your side. What Derek did to you was unforgivable. And I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. After Marcus left, the three of us, me, Tasha and Amber, sat there processing. Do you trust him? Amber asked. Marcus. More than the rest of them. But trust is a pretty low bar right now. My phone rang. An Atlanta number I didn't recognize. Hello. Mrs. Morrison. This is Detective Sarah Chen with the Atlanta Police Department, Financial Crimes Unit. I'd like to speak with you about some irregularities we've discovered at Morrison Family Automotive. Would you be available to come to the station today? My blood went cold. What kind of irregularities? I'd rather discuss this in person, ma'am. It's a sensitive matter. 2 hours later, I was sitting in a windowless room at the Atlanta Police Department with Detective Chen, a sharp-eyed woman in her 40s, and Tasha by my side for moral support. Detective Chen laid out a series of documents on the table between us. Mrs. Morrison, we've been investigating your husband's dealership for 3 months now. We received a tip from an anonymous employee about potential fraud, Specifically, the falsification of loan applications and the manipulation of credit reports to secure financing for buyers who wouldn't normally qualify. I stared at the papers. I don't understand. Your husband has been running an illegal scheme. He'd help buyers with poor credit get approved for car loans by falsifying income information and down payments. The dealership would get the commission on the sale, and when the buyers inevitably defaulted, often within months, the lenders would eat the loss while the dealership kept the profits. That's fraud, Tasha said. Yes, it is. Major fraud. We estimate Derek has generated approximately $3 million in illegal transactions over the past 18 months. And because you're listed as the majority owner of the business, Mrs. Morrison, you're potentially liable. The room spun. I had nothing to do with this. I didn't even know I owned the business until yesterday. I believe you, Detective Chin said. But legally, ownership is ownership. Unless you can prove you had no knowledge of or involvement in the illegal activities, prosecutors might come after you too. This is insane, I said. Derek did this, not me. We know. But we need your cooperation to prove it. We need you to testify, to provide documents, to help us build the case against him. I thought about Derek's face last night. The anger. The cruelty. The calculation. He hadn't just cheated on me and lied to me. He'd committed felonies and potentially set me up to take the fall. What do I need to do? Asked. Detective Chen slid a card across the table. First, get a criminal defense attorney. I know this seems backward since you're the victim here, but you need protection. Then, cooperate fully with our investigation. Help us prove Derek acted alone, and we'll keep you clear of charges. And if I do this, if I testify against him, Derek Morrison will likely go to prison for 5 to 10 years. His father might face charges too if we can prove he knew about the scheme. The dealership will probably be shut down or sold. All those employees Marcus had mentioned, 43 people, out of work. I need to think about this, I said. Don't think too long, Detective Chin said. We're moving fast on this case. The longer you wait, the harder it is to claim ignorance. That night, back at Tasha's apartment, I lay on her couch and felt my daughter kicking. 3 weeks until she'd be born. 3 weeks to figure out how my entire life had imploded. My husband was a cheater, a liar, and an alleged criminal. I owned a business that was apparently a front for fraud. My in-laws hated me but needed me. And somewhere in Atlanta, another woman was carrying my husband's child, just as confused and betrayed as I was. What would Mom do? I whispered. My mother, who'd raised 3 kids alone after my father left. Who'd worked 2 jobs and still made it to every school play and parent-teacher conference. Who'd taught me that women were strong enough to survive anything. She'd fight back. I pulled out my phone and made 3 calls. First, to a criminal defense attorney whose name Detective Chen had given me. Second, to a divorce lawyer Tasha had recommended. Third, to Marcus. I'll be at your board meeting Monday, I told him. But we're doing things my way now. Chapter 4. The Reckoning. Monday morning, I walked into Morrison Family Automotive wearing my best maternity dress. Black, professional, unmistakably pregnant, and carrying a folder full of documents. Tasha walked beside me like a bodyguard, and Marcus met us at the entrance. They're already in the conference room, he said. And they're not happy. Good, I said. The dealership was impressive. Glass showroom full of shiny vehicles, modern furnishings, Morrison Family Automotive in bold letters across the wall. This was Robert Morrison Sr.'s legacy, built from nothing over 40 years. And I owned most of it. We walked through the showroom. Salespeople I didn't know stared at us. Amber was at her desk in the back office, and our eyes met briefly. She looked as scared as I felt. The conference room was on the 2nd floor. Marcus opened the door and I walked in. Robert Sr. sat at the head of the table, his face stony. Patricia was beside him, looking like she'd been crying. Jasmine, Marcus's wife, was there too, along with 2 men I didn't recognize. Probably lawyers. Derek. My husband sat at the opposite end of the table, and when he saw me, something flickered in his eyes. Fear maybe. Or calculation. Michelle, Robert Sr. said. His voice was cold. We need to discuss the situation. Yes, we do, I agreed, sitting down. Tasha sat next to me. Marcus sat across from us. One of the lawyers cleared his throat. Mrs. Morrison, I'm Gerald Chapman, representing the Morrison family. We need to address some concerns about the business ownership structure. You mean the fact that I owned 60%? Said. That paperwork was filed under specific circumstances, Chapman said. There may be grounds to challenge its validity. No, there aren't, Tasha interrupted. She pulled out documents from her own folder. My colleague, she nodded at me, has had those papers reviewed by 3 different attorneys. They're completely valid. Michelle Morrison owns 60% of this dealership free and clear. Patricia made a strangled sound. This is ridiculous. She can't just. I can, I said, looking directly at her. Because your son's credit was so bad 3 years ago that your husband needed someone else's name on the business. You used me. You thought I'd be passive and grateful and would do whatever you wanted. You were wrong. Michelle, please, Robert Sr. said. Let's be reasonable. This business is my life's work. Then you shouldn't have let your son commit fraud with it. Silence. Derek went pale. What are you talking about? Robert Sr. demanded. I pulled out copies of the documents Detective Chen had shown me. Derek has been falsifying loan applications for 18 months. $3 million in fraudulent transactions. The Atlanta Police Financial Crimes Unit is investigating. They're building a case for wire fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy. That's a lie, Derek said, but his voice was shaky. Really? 'Cause they have documentation. Emails. Witness testimony from dealership employees who you pressured into helping you. I looked at Robert Sr. Did you know about this? Absolutely not, the older man said. He turned to Derek. Tell me she's lying. Derek said nothing. Oh my God, Patricia whispered. Derek, what did you do? I did what I had to do. Derek exploded. The sales quotas you set were impossible. You wanted me to perform miracles, so I found a way to meet your numbers. You wanted success. I gave you success. By breaking the law. Marcus said incredulously. By doing what needed to be done. Derek stood up. And now she, he pointed at me, is trying to destroy this family because I made some personal mistakes. Personal mistakes. I stood up too, as much as my pregnant belly allowed. You cheated on me for a year. You got another woman pregnant while I was carrying your child. You stole our savings. You humiliated me in front of your family. You abandoned me on the side of the road. And now I find out you've been committing felonies that could destroy innocent people's lives. These aren't mistakes, Derek. This is who you are. You're just bitter because you weren't enough, Derek spat. You with your little charity job, your holier-than-thou attitude. I needed someone who understood ambition, who didn't judge me. You needed someone you could manipulate, I corrected. Just like you manipulated your mother, your family, and me. Patricia was crying now. Robert Sr. looked 10 years older. What do you want? The older man asked me. You have all the power here, Michelle. What do you want? Took a breath. This was it. The moment I'd been planning since Friday. First, Derek is removed from all management positions effective immediately. He has no decision-making authority in this business. Second, I want full transparency. Every book, every account, every transaction made available for independent audit. Third, we cooperate fully with the police investigation. That will destroy the dealership, Chapman said. Maybe. Or maybe we're honest about what happened, make restitution where we can, and rebuild with integrity. But either way, the fraud stops today. And what about you? Patricia asked bitterly. You're just going to swoop in and take over my husband's business. No, I said. I'm going to ensure it's run ethically, and that the people who work here, the 43 employees who had nothing to do with Derek's crimes, keep their jobs. Marcus will be the new general manager. I'll remain as majority owner with full financial oversight, and we'll hire an independent operations manager. Marcus looked surprised but nodded. And Derek? Robert Sr. asked quietly. Derek faces whatever legal consequences come from what he's done. I'm filing for divorce. I'll be requesting full custody of our daughter, child support, and a fair division of any legitimate assets not tied up in criminal proceedings. You vindictive, Derek started. I'm protecting our child, I said. Something you should have thought about before you built your house of lies. Our daughter deserves better than a father in prison. Derek looked at his family, desperate. Are you going to let her do this? She can't just. She can, Robert Sr. said heavily. And she should. Derek, you've brought shame on this family. You've endangered everything I built. Michelle is giving us a chance to salvage something from your mess. Dad, get out. You're fired. And you're lucky I don't press charges myself for what you've stolen from this company. Derek looked around the table, finding no allies. His eyes landed on me one last time. You'll regret this, he said. No, I said. I won't. But you will. 2 weeks later, I went into labor at 2 a.m. Tasha drove me to Emory University Hospital, calling my mother on the way. Mom arrived from her night shift at the hospital where she worked as a nursing assistant, still in scrubs. My baby girl, she said, hugging me carefully. You're so strong. You're going to be fine. I'm scared, Mama. I know. But you've already survived the hardest part. This, she gestured at my belly. This is the good part. You're about to meet your daughter. 17 hours later, on December 17, 2024, at 7:23 p.m., Zara Michelle Morrison came into the world. She was 6 pounds 8 ounces, with a full head of dark hair and lungs that could wake the dead. When they placed her on my chest, still slippery and screaming, I fell in love so completely that everything else fell away. Derek wasn't there. I'd made sure he wouldn't be. My lawyer had sent him a letter informing him of his legal rights as a father but noting that I didn't want him at the birth. Instead, I had my mom, Tasha, and Marcus, who'd surprised me by showing up with flowers. She's beautiful, he said, looking at Zara with wonder. She looks like you. Thank God, Tasha muttered. No offense to your brother, but... Marcus laughed. None taken. Over the next few days, as I learned to nurse and change diapers and survive on 2 hours of sleep, the world kept moving forward. Derek was formally charged with wire fraud, conspiracy, and identity theft. Bail was set at $250,000, which his parents paid. He was awaiting trial, facing up to 10 years in federal prison. Amber had her baby 3 weeks later, a boy she named Jason. She'd quit the dealership and moved back to California to live with her sister. She'd sent me a text. I'm sorry for everything. I hope Zara is healthy and beautiful. We were both lied to, but at least we have our babies. I'd responded. I hope you and Jason are doing well. Maybe someday when they're older our kids can know each other. Seemed impossible now, but maybe not forever. The dealership was struggling but surviving. The police investigation had gone public, and we'd lost customers. But Marcus was working 18-hour days to rebuild trust, and some loyal clients were sticking with us. We'd implemented new oversight procedures, hired a compliance officer, and were slowly repairing our reputation. I'd moved out of the rental house Derek and I had shared and into a small 2-bedroom apartment in Decatur. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. Tasha had helped me set up Zara's nursery. Soft pink walls, a white crib, stuffed animals that had been gifts from coworkers and friends. My maternity leave would end in 6 weeks, and I'd have to figure out childcare and getting back to work. But the dealership was providing me with a modest salary as majority owner, enough to cover rent and expenses while I figured out next steps. Patricia had called once, 2 days after Zara was born. I'd like to see my granddaughter, she'd said stiffly. I'll think about it, I'd replied. But Patricia, you need to understand that you and Robert enabled Derek. You looked the other way when he manipulated me, when he humiliated me. If you want to be part of Zara's life, things have to be different. We didn't know. You knew enough. You chose to protect him instead of doing what was right. That ends now." She'd hung up. But 2 days later, a package had arrived. A beautiful handmade baby blanket with a card. "For Zara. We would like to try. Robert and Patricia." It was a start. 3 months after Zara was born, I sat in a courtroom for Derek's sentencing hearing. He'd taken a plea deal. 5 years in federal prison, restitution to the victims, and probation after release. He stood before the judge, looking smaller than I remembered. Prison orange didn't suit him. The judge asked if I wanted to make a victim impact statement. My lawyer had advised against it, but I had things to say. I stood up, Zara in her car seat beside me. She was awake, those big eyes looking around the courtroom with infant curiosity. "Your Honor," I said. "Derek Morrison is my husband, the father of my daughter. I loved him, trusted him, and built a life with him. He betrayed that trust in every possible way. He lied to me, cheated on me, stole from me, and committed crimes that endangered innocent people. But more than that, he showed my daughter what kind of man her father is." I looked at Derek. He wouldn't meet my eyes. "Zara will grow up knowing her father is in prison. She'll ask questions I'll have to answer honestly. But she'll also grow up knowing that when someone betrays you, when someone hurts you, you don't let them destroy you. You stand up. You fight back. You protect yourself and the people you love." Derek taught me that lesson. And for that, for making me strong enough to survive him, I'm actually grateful. I sat back down. The judge sentenced Derek to 5 years, as agreed in the plea deal. As they led him away, Derek finally looked at me. I couldn't read his expression. Regret, anger, shame. It didn't matter anymore. 6 months after that, I stood in the showroom of Morrison Family Automotive, my dealership now really, watching Marcus close a sale with a young couple buying their first car. He'd become an amazing general manager. Under his leadership, we'd not only survived the scandal but started to rebuild. We'd implemented transparent business practices, community outreach programs, and second-chance hiring for people who'd made mistakes but wanted to do better. Turned out that honesty was good for business. Zara was 6 months old now, sitting in her stroller, chewing on a teething ring and babbling. She looked like me, like my mother, like generations of strong black women who'd survived impossible things. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Michelle. This is Amber. I know this is random, but Jason and I are in Atlanta visiting family. Would you maybe want to get coffee? No pressure if not." I looked at Zara, thought about Jason, her half-brother, whether we liked it or not, and typed, "Tomorrow at 2. Java grounds. That would be great. Thank you." It was complicated. All of it was complicated. But Zara deserved to know her brother. And Amber and I had both been victims of Derek's lies. Maybe we could find a way to be civil if not friends. "Michelle," Marcus called from across the showroom. "Can you sign off on these loan papers? I want to make sure everything's triple-checked." "Coming," I called back. I pushed Zara's stroller toward the office, toward the business I never wanted but now protected fiercely, toward the future I was building from the wreckage of my marriage. Derek had tried to destroy me that Thanksgiving night when he left me on the side of the road. Instead, he'd freed me. And I'd discovered I was stronger than anyone, including myself, had ever known.